Now, week 4 in the NFL Thursday night football sees the Jacksonville Jaguars heading into Cincinnati to take on the Bengals. I've been joined by Paddy Power NFL trader Dan Whitty to give us his best bet builder for this game. Dan, before we get into the nuts and bolts of this bet builder, can you tell us what a bet builder is, please?
Yeah, it's a way for punters to pick from basically multiple markets across a single event and combine them all together into one bet and get out a nice juicy price.
Okay, so what are the selections you've gone for this week?
This week we're going with the Bengals on the money line, Jamar Chase to score a touchdown anytime, Joe Burrow to throw over 251.5 yards, and James Robinson to rush for over 52.5 yards.
Okay, and that comes in just under 8-1, so it's a nice bet builder for the Thursday night football. We'll start at the top here. Now, last week you went conservative with the Carolina Panthers on the money line. You're doing it again here with the Bengals on the money line. Why are you going conservative again this week, Dan?
Yeah, look, we've got the battle of basically last 2 years, number one picks in the draft for hopefully a delightful game on Thursday night, but I'm not expecting it to be a classic, really. The Jags, even after taking what looks to be a perennial talent in Trevor Lawrence, they've just been awful to start the season. They get ranked as one of the worst defenses in terms of points and yards allowed, and they also have a hard time pressuring opposing QBs. Lawrence hasn't quite settled yet into the role of an NFL QB, and he's actually picked up more losses in his first 3 weeks of the NFL season than he's had actually in college and high school combined. I mean, even though the Bengals here now have a winning record and they do sit atop the NFC North after knocking off the Steelers last week, but they're no great shakes either. Defensively, probably just slightly a bit better than the Jags, and kind of with Burrow and his extra year of experience in the league, he seems kind of more capable here just to lead his team to victory. I can't see it being a high scoring game, so yeah, just playing it safe with the Bengals money line. But if there's anyone out there feeling a bit more adventurous, I wouldn't put them off adding Bengals win a margin 1 to 13 points.
Okay, so we're starting off with the Bengals on the money line. And as you mentioned, the two number one overall picks in the last 2 years facing each other as quarterbacks. But another player you've gone with here in the anytime TD market, Jamar Chase. I think he raised some eyebrows when he went so early to the Bengals, but he certainly looked to live up to that early hype. And you think he's going to score another touchdown here?
Yeah, so Chase is actually Burrow's former teammate at LSU, and said Bengals used a lot of draft capital on him, taking him 5th overall, and it's been paying off so far. He's had between the two lads from them being teammates, they've kind of been electric, and he's got four TDs in his first 3 games. And with a stellar game against their divisional rivals, against the Steelers last week, he amassed 65 yards off 4 catches. Just see it hard for the poor Jags defense stopping him scoring again.
Yeah, and the Jags did trade away one of their the cornerback they took first last year. I think it was number 8 overall pick, wasn't it? DJ Henderson. He's been traded to Carolina. Now, the next part of this bet builder, it is the aforementioned Joe Burrow. The line here is 251.5 yards, and you think that Joe will go over that. So what's your line of thinking for this?
Yeah, as I kind of mentioned already, this Jags D is one of the worst in the league in terms of yards allowed. So far across the 3 games, they've gave up an average of about 300 yards. And Burrow, like with being in year 2, he's kind of taken a step forward in his game. He's increased both his efficiency and accuracy. The only worry I'd have with him, he's still liable to throw an interception or 2, but with the way that Jags defense is, I think 251 even looks a nice line for a Thursday night.
Okay, so he's going to go over that line. Final part. Now, this caught my eye when I looked at these selections before you sent me over, before we recorded it, should I say. James Robinson, the run back. He had a big weekend last week. That line looks a bit low to me, 52.5 rushing yards. So I'm not surprised to see you going high on this one. What you're thinking of this one, Dan, for James Robinson over 52.5 rushing yards?
Yeah, so with Trevor Lawrence not fully finding his feet as an NFL quarterback yet, the Jags have started to lean on their ground game a bit more often. James Robinson there has been their main man to go to when running. From week 1, he'd 5 touches, and then he'd 11 and 15 the last 2 weeks. So his production has started to go up, and if he can keep again with those similar numbers, the 51.5 or 52.5, sorry, looks like it could be very, very low, even despite the fact that the Bengals have a top 10 rush defense here.
Okay, so there is the selection, the bet builder for Thursday Night Football. Jacksonville Jaguars heading in to take on the Cincinnati Bengals. And the bet builder from Dan Whitty this week is the Bengals on the money line, Jamar Chase, anytime TD scorer, Joe Burrow passing yards over 251.5, James Robinson rushing yards over 52.5 for Jacksonville. And that all comes in just under 8-1. That's our bet builder for Thursday Night Football in week 4.